You are listening to the Redesign Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Grogan. I am a certified life coach, and each week I am going to help you take imperfect action toward creating a fulfilling and meaningful life. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the Redesign Your Life podcast. So if this is your first time here, maybe you found this podcast because you are ready for something like a massive overhaul in your life and you just want to burn things down and start fresh. Yeah, sometimes a big old bonfire is what we need. And if you've been listening for a while and you're like, no, I'm not new here and that is what I want, we're all in a good place here. But there are other times, which I would say for most people is most of the time, where that's not what you want or it's not accessible for whatever reason for wherever you're at in life. And maybe you generally like your life and you don't want to massively overhaul it, but there are those like floating thoughts in the back of your mind that are like, ugh, I just wish some things were different. So I am talking about those fleeting thoughts that might be on repeat, like, I wish I moved my body more. I wish I ate better. I wish my home were cleaner. I wish I felt more connected to friends or family, or maybe I wish I had more friends. It's those sentences that start with, I wish, or I don't like, or I really need to change this. But they're often ignorable, right? They don't seem super urgent, so you can basically just keep hitting the snooze button over and over again. And part of the reason we hit the snooze button on them is that they often seem like the type of things that if you did want to make changes in that area, it would take massive effort with lots of planning and so much disruption to our lives. Or at least that's what we think. So a personal example, many months ago, I was getting coached on a relationship with one of my family members, and I showed up to my coaching session with what felt like this very heavy burden, right? It had started with this thought like, I really want to change this relationship. And then I came to the coaching session ready to unleash and discuss. So I gave the coach a full history on the relationship and all of my thoughts and how I felt like there's this expectation that I would swoop in and fix things, or at the very least be super involved with this family member's life and the change that I thought they needed to make. It just felt like super heavy, and I was putting a lot of pressure on myself and was feeling super overwhelmed. My coach and I talked about lots of aspects of this, but the thing that stands out in memory from that session was when my coach said, all right, well, you can take or leave this suggestion, just putting it out there, but what if it was just like a lot simpler? Like, what if you just texted your family member and said, hey, how are you doing? That thought hadn't occurred to me. Really? You can just like send a text message that basically lets them know that you were there for them and then just go from there? It seemed too simple because my brain wanted to make it complicated, because change to me, especially when it comes to changing the dynamics of a relationship or some aspect of your life, has often meant big project with a strategy and a timeline and tons of effort. Right? Because I think there's this general idea that if you want to change your eating, you need a diet plan or a program. If your house is always cluttered, you need to get Marie Kondo on board. You need to get that book and do everything she says. Or, if you want to better sleep, then you definitely need to go out and read that one book everybody talks about by Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep, and take extensive notes, and then read another book, and then make a plan, and probably buy a lot of sleep-related products, and then spend a ton of money, and then What if it's not that complicated? What if it is sometimes as simple as a 2-second text message check-in, or the equivalent that's just enough to get the ball rolling? So let's talk about a different way to approach change in your life. And I just have a few questions that you can walk through for yourself just to think through this, especially if you resonated with anything that I just said. So the first question is just simply, what is one thing that you wish was different about your life? And then question 2, without overthinking this, ask yourself, what do I think it'll take to change it? Chances are your brain will come up with something massive, like I need to do hours of research, I need to take on a 30-day challenge, I need to hire someone to help. Just make a note of what you think it will take to make a change. This just lets us know how your brain is operating. And then question number 3, what does that approach make you want to do? So for some people, the thought of taking on a 30-day challenge is super motivating, and that's what they want to do when they go and do it. Especially if the thing that you want to change in your life has become painful enough that you're like, nah, now is time. But for others, like, it likely makes you want to put it off for when you have more time or you feel more ready. And you know what happens then? Likely nothing. Everything stays the same, which is okay. That is a choice you can make, but it's not the only choice. Which leads us to our final question, number 4. Is there something small or simple that just gets the ball rolling? Because, my friend, there is a whole spectrum of options between massive overhaul and doing nothing. We just sometimes don't consider those options, especially if we have a tendency for all or nothing thinking and we think it has to be this massive overhaul. It can be super tempting to disregard the small things as just not being worth it because we put so much stock in this idea of the massive overhaul. What is it really going to matter in the long run if you just add some broccoli to dinner tonight or walk an extra 10 minutes or just get that one thing off your plate? That's just a drop in the bucket, right? But that small act does matter because it means you're showing up for yourself. And you're signaling to your brain that you're open and willing to change, despite being busy or it not being quote unquote the right time. You're starting to show yourself that the little things matter, and you start to gain momentum with every small thing you do. And most importantly, you help yourself reduce pressure and possibly that feeling of overwhelm. Because when it's something small, it seems doable instead of this massive project that requires everything in your life to be perfect to embark upon it. So again, let's just sit with this question. What are you wishing would be different? And then what is one small thing you can do today that shows you're open to change? Because it's not just a serving of broccoli. And it's not just an extra 500 steps. It's almost like it's a vote for the person that you want to become. And every time you do more of what you'd like to see yourself be doing in your life, the more you become that version of yourself, it just becomes more natural to do those things. All right, my friend, that's what I have for you today. If this sparked something for you, take a minute and just write down your answers to those questions or answer them out loud wherever you're at. What is that small thing that you can do that helps yourself see that you're open to change? And if you want some additional help with this, grab a free one-on-one coaching session. The link is in the show notes. All right, that's it for today. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend. Until next time.